been waiting for. Well, yes, it's late at night. It's 8:32 on a Monday. But we're gonna get this March Madness predictions in here. If you read the title, we're predicting the East and the Midwest game first round games. Here tonight, we're gonna go kind of fast on some of these games, just so we can skim over them and get to the games that people are actually probably wondering about. So, um, with that, we're gonna start in the East. We're gonna start with the top overall seed, Duke. They're playing Siena. This is probably the easiest pick of the night for me. Give me Duke, probably by at least 20 or 30. I just don't think Duke. This is a good game for Duke to get under their belt before um, the tough games start. So
Yeah, I think Duke is obviously easily going to beat them. I don't think a 6 seed beats a 1 seed. Siena, they look really bad in Ken Palm, I'm not going to lie. But Duke's number one, number four offense, number two defense. Siena looks to be in the 200 somewhere in Ken Palm. So Duke's probably going to easily win. They'll win by 15 and 20. I don't know about their second round matchup though, but it'll be interesting
yeah,
without Patrick Ngongba and Caleb Foster. So that could impact them a lot, but we'll see.
yeah. All right, moving into the game everyone's wondering on. I want to hear your thoughts on this one first here. The 8 seed Ohio State Buckeyes are taking on the 9 seeded TCU Horned Frogs, two teams that we have been very high on the last couple of weeks. What are your thoughts on that game there, Jonah?
Um, I mean, I'm obviously kind of torn here. Ohio State, 26 in Ken Palm. Obviously have a good offense. Their defense is lackluster. TCU, on the other hand, is a little bit lower in Ken Palm. They are 43 in Ken Palm, 81 offense, 62 defense. So they're completely two opposite teams. But I mean, I think TCU is probably going to win this game because I just like their wins a lot better. I like what they've been able to do in the big moments against Florida, against Iowa State, and Ohio State. They had a good run in the Big Ten tournament, but I don't know how much firepower they have on their offense outside of Bruce Thornton. And TCU obviously has David Punch, who's a great player, and they got a lot more of a well-rounded team, in my opinion. So I'm going with the defense here. I'm going with the team with the better defense. I'm
Yeah.
taking the TCU Horned Frogs.
Yeah. I was really torn on this game as well. Obviously, been a huge fan of Bruce Thornton and what he's been able to do. I can see this game going either way. Completely honest, but I'm pretty sure this is the first game of the tournament, is it not? Of like
Yeah,
the
it's
actual
11
bracket.
o'clock. 11
Yeah.
o'clock.
So usually when this game happens, usually the 9 seed wins. I don't know I don't know why, but that's usually just what happens. It's probably going to happen again. Um, I just think if TCU can shut down or slow down Bruce Thornton, I don't know what else Ohio State's going to be able to do. Their defense is pretty good. Um, I'm rooting for Ohio State in this game because I want to see Bruce Thornton get a W. Um, but at the end of the day, I just feel like um, it's the power of the 9 seed, man. They always seem to get the job done. 8 seeds kind of sell. So give me TCU winning in a close game. Probably one of the best games of the weekend, in my opinion. Okay, moving on to the next game. 5 seeded St. John's, who just won their conference tournament yesterday. Nope, 2 days ago. They take on Northern Iowa, who has not played in a week. Um, and I think this is going to be an interesting one because I've seen a lot of people picking Northern Iowa to win this game because they don't trust St. John's. That's valid. Um, St. John's is kind of an iffy team, but St. John's is playing great right now. They're one of the hottest teams in the country. They just beat UConn, who's a 2 seed, by 20 points. And Northern Iowa hasn't played in a week. Reiterating off of that, I don't think they're gonna come out too slow. Um, and St. John's just has the better skill. And I think St. John's going to get the job done in probably a closer game than most people would think. But I think St. John's gets the job done.
Okay. Um, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know who to pick on this game either. Northern Iowa has one of the best defenses in the country. They have a really good defense, and they're obviously one of the best mid majors in the country. And St. John's, I don't like them. They're overrated. Like they got blown up by UConn by 30. Grant, they beat them in the tournament, but if you lose to UConn by 30, you're a bad team, and so that's that. And they've had a lot of questionable losses. St. John's, they've been horrible out of conference. They've gotten absolutely kicked, their butts kicked out of conference. So I really don't know. I don't believe in the St. John's team, but I just don't know enough about Northern Iowa. I'm going to be honest. Other than they have a great defense, they don't have a tough schedule. Northern Iowa didn't really play a tough schedule, so I'm just going to have to pick St. John's because of their front court. The front court's probably going to dominate. Usually, front courts dominate against smaller mid-major schools, and I mean, I just think that even though I don't like the guards of St. John's. I mean, the front court's probably going to get the job done. I got them winning by like 5 points, so I would not be shocked if they lose this game.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, moving on to the 4-13 game here in the East. Number 4 Kansas takes on 13 California Baptist. Kansas is obviously coming off of kind of an interesting Big 12 tournament. They didn't perform as well as everyone would have liked them to, probably, but they still got a 4 seed, which I think is kind of interesting. Um, they take on Cal Baptist. I don't know anything about Cal Baptist. I just I feel like Kansas just will have more skill to win this game. Cal Baptist obviously shout out for making the tournament. Um, but I don't know how much you're going to be able to do. Hopefully, I'm kind of hoping Cal Baptist wins this game just because I don't like Kansas. Um, but I do think Kansas will get the job done. Um, Darren Peterson might just take a load management in the first round. Who knows? Um, but yeah, I think Kansas will get the job done probably by 10 or more, um, and move on to the next round.
Yeah, this is another game that definitely could be upset alert. Cal Baptist I mean, they're solid. They obviously had one of the most dramatic endings to a basketball game I've seen. Did you
Yeah,
see that ending?
yeah,
That was insane. I they're all right. They're not anything spectacular, but Kansas, on the other hand, is known to sell in the tournament. Outside of what was it,
2022,
2021, 2022,
21. Yeah, it's
yeah.
21. Yeah,
Anyways, Kansas doesn't really do well in the tournament. They didn't do well in the Big 12 tournament. They're not really that good right now. Um, and nothing really strikes me as wanting to pick Kansas in these brackets, at least deep. So
yeah,
I mean, I'd like to see Cal Baptist win, but they're in like the 150s for Ken Palm in that area. Um, yeah, so I'm probably gonna have to pick Kansas here. I'm not confident in this pick. Uh, Kansas is just not a good team. Their offense it scares me a lot. Their defense is good, but that offense needs to be worked on a lot. I don't think it's going to get any better come tournament time. So yeah, I have them winning by like a basket by like 2 points.
okay.
So
All right, moving on to our next one. 6 seeded Louisville takes on 11 seeded USF. Now, yesterday when I saw this, um, I was like, "Oh, USF's gonna win this game." But I did some thinking today, um, and the more I just think about it, Louisville has obviously we haven't been high on them all season long, but they've been playing better as of lately, especially to end off the season in the conference tournament. So this is a tough game for me to predict. I can see either of these teams winning, but South Florida um, is just an unpredictable team. So I'm just going to take Louisville uh, because of uncertainties with South Florida.
mm, interesting. Um, I'm not gonna lie. I'm picking South Florida. I don't. Louisville is a team that has been one of the worst teams in college basketball as of lately. Like they did okay in the big, not the big, the ACC tournament, but I mean this USF team, one of the best mid majors in college basketball. They have a really good offense. I mean, they have a decent defense. They're 49 in Ken Palm. Louisville is in the 30s ish, and Louisville is out with or is without Mikael Brown. So I don't see a world where they win without Mikael Brown because without him, their offense looks really really bad without him. And he's obviously one of the best cards in the country. I don't think he's going to play. I just like USF. I really do. I'm on the hype train for him. I also think that they have some good quad one wins or some good wins. They beat VCU, I think, and they beat Utah State. So Louisville has done nothing to impress me this season. That's why I'm picking USF. They're the hottest team. Louisville's one of the coldest teams. It's pretty simple. I got them winning. I got them beating them by like 15, shocking the world.
Yeah. Okay. Next one, Michigan State Spartans take on the North Dakota State Bisons. Um, Interesting game here. Two teams that have been interesting all season long. NDSU obviously won the Summit League about a week ago. Michigan State got bounced by UCLA on their first game of the Big Ten tournament, which is probably why they're a 3 seed and not a 2 seed. So this is an interesting game here. But I just think Michigan State's better. And I think they're going to win the game. Close, though. I think North Dakota State is going to come out with some energy. These Summit League teams, you never know what you're going to get with them. You're either going to get blown out or you're going to play them really close. So I think this is going to be the situation where they play them close because Michigan State is kind of overrated and they're not that good. So give me Michigan State.
Yeah. I mean, this is also a good game, in my opinion. The Bison,
Yeah.
very underrated team. Should have been a 12 seed. Michigan State, though, should have been a 2 seed. I I don't know why they put Purdue in over Michigan State. I mean, they obviously beat them, but I don't think Purdue should have got a 2 seed. I think somebody else should have. Anyways, Michigan State has one of the better defenses in the country. They rebound the ball really well. They have a lot of athletic guys in Colin Carr and the North Dakota State Bison don't really do anything great. They're practically the same offense and defensively, and they're without Jakari White, who transferred to Virginia this year. So I think just because of the fact that Michigan State uh, is lower than what they should be. I mean, should be a 2, and the fact that their defense is one of the best in the country, and the fact that they just have a better coach than North Dakota State, I think they'll get the job done. They're just a lot bigger and more athletic than the Bison. There's nothing they can really do about it, and I don't think they really stand a chance against Michigan State with all the difference in size and athleticism. So give me the Spartans to beat them. But if North Dakota State can get on the glass and rebound with them with Michigan State and be one of the win the boards, I think Michigan State has a chance losing this game. But that's the only way is you got to beat one of the best rebounding teams. So North Dakota State loses. I think they'll lose by 20. I think it'll kind of be a blowout.
Okay. All right, second to last game here in the East. The UCLA Bruins take on UCLA number 7 takes on number 10 UCF Knights out of the Big 12. This has been one of the more anticipated games. I feel like two underrated teams are playing quite well. Actually, I've seen a lot of people. This game is pretty much 50-50 split on most of the things that I've been seeing here. But I just got to go. I got to go with UCLA. I know UCLA is just a tad bit banged up, but UCLA is on a hot streak right now, playing great ball. They're figuring it out. I don't care if they lost to Purdue by like what, like 8, 10 or something like that. They played them. They played well in that game. They had some great wins there in the Big Ten tournament. They finish off the regular season very well, um, and they're one of the hotter teams in the country. And I feel like they get a matchup with UConn. That's a game to look out for. So give me UCLA in a really close game, probably one of the better games of the weekend.
Okay. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a big fan of the UCF Knights. I get that they beat Iowa State. I get that they beat Kansas, but they have some really ugly losses too. Like they have a lot more losses than wins, and I get that they have a couple of quality ones, but I mean, this team's leading scorer is only averaging 14.4, and Riley
Yeah.
Kugel. So, um, Themis Folks is good. He's averaging like 7 assists a game, one of the best guards or one of the best passers in the country. But UCLA is like the hottest team in college basketball, one of them. They have Donovan Dent, who's a top 5 point guard in the country. Donovan Dent's really good. They have the talent, and I I'm honestly buying into the hype that people are saying that this team is going to go on a run. I really do think that if they win this game, they can easily make the Sweet 16 or Elite Eight. I think this team's legit. They've proven to me that over the past few weeks they're playing with fire, and UCF is definitely not. I would say so.
Yeah.
Give me the Bruins to easily win, like just because they have Donovan Dent, and UCF doesn't have nearly as good of a player as Donovan Dent on the UCLA Bruins, and they're just better. I'm just going to say that. I think UCF should have been an 11 seed if I'm being honest. So Bruins win by 15. I'll say a win by 15.
Okay. All right. Last game here in the East, the Yukon Huskies, number 2 seeded. They're taking on number 15 Furman. This is an interesting one because let's not forget Furman just 3 years ago upset Virginia first round. Now I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but I definitely think out of all the 2 seeds versus 15 seeds, this is probably the most likely one to happen. Um, I just feel like UConn is not playing good at all. And Furman, they got some history. So who's to say they can't do it again? Um, so I think this game's going to be interesting. It's either going to be close, UConn wins, close, Furman wins, or UConn blows them out of the water. It's one of those 3. Um, and I just feel like UConn is not playing the best right now. And I think that I think they'll get the job done. But I feel like this might be their only win of the tournament, especially if they don't play very well against Furman. I would definitely pick either UCLA or UCF. I'm against them. I just don't like what UConn's doing. But I do think they'll probably pull out the win. So give me UConn beating Furman. But look out for Furman, though. Look out.
Yeah. Obviously, as you guys know, I'm as big as a UConn hater as anybody is in the world. This
That's
team
true.
is terrible. They're not nearly as good as what they once were a couple years ago. They don't have the talent anymore. Um, Dan Hurley just it doesn't seem as good as what he was 2 or 3 years ago. Everybody's catching
Yeah.
on to his game plan, and I mean this team's great defensively, but their offense is very streaky at times. It's hot, it's cold, and we've seen what happens when it can get cold. Obviously, they can lose to St. John's twice out of 3 times in the season, and they can also almost lose to what was it, Seton Hall? They almost lost to that was
Yeah.
embarrassing. Anyways, Furman, I don't really like where they're at in KenPom. They're 190. They're below UMBC, so they should probably be a 16 seed, even though they're marked as a 15. But at the end of the day, they do have the history of beating Virginia. I mean, I think they have like a 10% chance of beating UConn. I'm just gonna pick UConn though because they have Terrace Reed, one of the best big men in the country, and they have Dan Hurley, and Dan Hurley does not really blow that or these type of games.
These kind
Like
of games, yeah.
he'll lose to St. John's, but he won't lose to Furman. That's for sure. So if Furman wants a chance, they got to get after UConn and attack them, create some turnovers on defense. But I mean, stats show they're not even a great defensive team to begin with. So I mean, their best bet is hoping that UConn can hit nothing on offense. So I don't think it's going to happen. Though I think UConn wins by like 25.
Yeah. Okay. So that wraps up for the East region here. Moving on to the Midwest. We kind of wanted to do the easy ones first before we do the West and the South, probably on Wednesday. Pretty busy day for the both of us tomorrow. So probably be one of the only days without some content. So enjoy it, I guess. But anyway, moving on to the Midwest region, Michigan, number 1 seed, will be taking on UMBC or Howard. We'll find out the results of that either tomorrow or Wednesday, I think. But I don't think it matters whoever they plays. Michigan is going to come out with some fire after losing that Big Ten championship game. I think they're going to win this game by 30 plus. Doesn't matter who they're playing. I just think they're a better team than both of them, probably combined. So give me the Wolverines by quite a bit.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I don't really like Michigan as of lately. Michigan has not impressed me at all. Elliot Cadeau continues to kind of underperform. I'd say at least. I mean, their guards aren't good. I'm just going to say that, but they have a really good front court, obviously, and they obviously get a 16 seed, which, I mean, only one team has lost to a 16 seed, and that is the Purdue Boilermakers. And I
Two.
don't.
Virginia lost.
Oh, that's true. I mean, I don't see. I like Michigan isn't on Virginia and Purdue's level of selling. Like they don't really tend to sell that much in the tournament, at least in my opinion. So I don't think they'll get very far. I mean, considering they got Texas Tech and Alabama in the Sweet 16, more than likely, or Akron. But I mean, it doesn't matter if they're not going to make it to the second weekend or if they're not going to make it to the Elite Eight or not. I mean, they're obviously going to win the 16 game. So I don't know how high I am on Michigan, but I'm high enough on them to beat a 16 seed, hopefully. So they'll win by 30.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Interesting game here out of the SEC. The 8 seeded Georgia Bulldogs take on the number 9 seeded St. Louis Billikens. Now, I was kind of high on St. Louis about a month ago, and then they started selling. They lost in their semifinal or the championship. I don't remember. But they lost in their conference tournaments. They still got in. I don't know. I didn't even check the AP polls today because I didn't really care to look. But I would assume they're probably not on the polls anymore. I'm not gonna lie. I just don't like St. Louis right now. They're not playing good. I'm not a huge fan of Georgia either, but Georgia just beat Alabama about a week and a half ago. They're not playing the worst. But this is just kind of a battle of mid versus not very good. So I think this game's a toss up, but I'm just going to go with Georgia because they've played more real teams. They've got more experience, and they kind of know what to do in these situations. They also have some real centers. So any center is better than no center. So give me Georgia, probably in a close game for some reason.
Yeah.
Probably a forgettable game too. I feel like no one's gonna remember this game.
Yeah. Obviously, as you guys know, just like I hate UConn, I hate St. Louis. I'm not high on St. Louis at all.
Yeah.
Georgia is probably the worst possible team that could have got matched up with in the first round, and I'll tell you why. Mainly because Georgia is very athletic and they're a very fast-paced team, which, as we know, mid-majors tend to struggle against fast-paced teams. So Georgia is a very volatile team. They shoot a lot of threes. They kind of rely on the three-pointer, and they're just a really fast-paced offense. It's kind of fun to watch Georgia, honestly. But they have Jeremiah Wilkinson, who's one of the most underrated players in college basketball. He's averaging like 17 points a game. St. Louis is led by I don't even know his real name, but it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Kareem
I don't know.
Abdul-Jabbar.
I don't even know
Yeah,
what his
I
real
guess.
name is, but
Yeah,
that guy, I
yeah,
think you kind of have a problem if he's your number one guy. I'm going to be honest. So
yeah.
Georgia's going to get the job done. I could definitely see him beat Michigan. I'm kind of tempted on for them to beat or picking them to beat Michigan because I'm just not high on Michigan at all at the moment. So George, I mean, this is the easiest 8-9 game I think in the whole bracket. It's not even close.
Yeah, probably. Okay, moving on to a very interesting game here. The 5 seeded Texas Tech Red Raiders take on the number 12 seeded Akron Zips. Now, Akron had a really, really good regular season. They just won the MAC, their only conference option against Miami, Ohio. And Texas Tech got absolutely belted by Iowa State um, in the Big 12 tournament. And it's a 12 and a 5 game. And I was looking at all the 12 and the 5 games. And to me, this is the game. There's always a 12 seed that beats a 5. There just always is. And I think this is that one. I think Akron is a really good team. One of the better mid majors. Texas Tech has continued to struggle after losing JT Toppin. They just don't have anything figured out. And Akron's going to come out and they're going to take advantage of that. And I think Akron's going to win and they're going to shock a lot of people. So give me the Zips taking down the Red Raiders.
Interesting. Honestly, I just don't really know where to go with this game. Honestly, it's a really bad matchup for Texas Tech because Texas Tech has the worst bench in college basketball. It's not even close. Nobody on their bench scores points. They only have like a
Yeah.
6 or 7 man rotation. Like they struggle when it comes to having an eighth or a ninth guy off the bench. And Akron has like 10 guys who can score a basketball consistently. They have a ton of bench players. So I mean, it's a really nightmare match for Texas Tech, but Akron, I think we need to pump the brakes on Akron a bit. Like they lost to Troy. I mean, they lost to Yale and Troy, and great they went on a roll in the MAC, but they haven't beat a tournament team all year. Am I seeing this correct? Yeah, they haven't beat a tournament team all year long. So obviously, the one tournament team they played was Troy, and they lost by like 10 to Troy. So I'm just not really seeing it with this Akron team. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I could definitely see them winning just because they have a big advantage on Texas Tech, and that is like 3 extra guys who could play more minutes than what Texas Tech can. But I'm gonna pick Texas Tech because I mean they're just a way more talented team, and they've proven to me that they deserve a 5 seed because they play in the Big 12, and they played a lot harder competition than what Akron has, and I just think that since they played in the Big 12, I mean, they could probably handle Akron. At least I'd assume. I mean, I don't know if they're guaranteed to win the game, but I sure hope that if you can beat Iowa, I think they beat Iowa State before, but if you could beat Iowa State, you could certainly beat Akron. So that's my logic with that one. And I think Christian Anderson is just out going to play Tavari Johnson. I think he's a better player than Tavari Johnson. They're both good point guards, but Christian Anderson is the best player on this court. So give me Texas Tech beating Akron by 15.
Okay. Moving on, 4 seeded Alabama takes on 13 seeded Hofstra. Alabama's going through it right now. I One of their players just got arrested.
Aiden Hallway.
Yep, he got kicked off of campus. And their coaches said they are anticipating playing without him. Now, you lose a player that does some crazy stuff to your locker room. I don't care if he's your best player. I don't care if he's a bench player who doesn't do anything. Uh, that that kind of shakes the team a little bit here. So it has me a little worried about Alabama, especially since they just lost to Ole Miss too a couple days ago. I know nothing about Hofstra, nothing. I didn't even know they existed until I saw their name pop up on yesterday. So can't lie. No disrespect, Hofstra. shout out Hofstra, I guess. But this Alabama team's a team to look out for. I don't trust them, but I think they're going to win this game. They can either do two things: they can rally around each other. They've had a lot of drama around them this season, so they can either embrace that and come together, or they can just let it kill them, and they're going to lose to Hofstra. I don't know, but I think for now they're going to be able to come together. I think they're going to win the game. I have seen a lot of people pick Hofstra win this game, which I think is interesting. But I think Alabama's going to win the game. I think it's going to be close, but I think Alabama's going to rally around each other for now.
Okay. Yeah, obviously Aiden Holloway is the second leading scorer on the team. He's a really good forward / guard on their team. But Alabama still has one of the best guards in the country, and I'm gonna try not to butcher his name. It's Philon. I think that's his name. Anyways, Philon Jr. I just don't know if that's the correct way to pronounce the last name, but P is legit. Let's just say that. They obviously have Amari Allen, who is very good. No Mark Sears this year, which I mean
Yeah.
he's been their leader for forever, but you replace him with Philon. So I don't know how Aiden Holloway affects this team, but they still got a lot of guys outside of Aiden Holloway. I mean, we need Amari Allen to step up, or in order for Alabama to win. I think Alabama's can't really rely on Philon to carry all the workload. They need Amari Allen, and he's been averaging like 10 points a game, but he's got to average 15, maybe 20. And Alabama's a team that lives or dies by the three pointer. And so obviously they can lose to any team, they can beat any team, but I'd like them a lot because they're a really fast paced team. And every single mid major seems to struggle with an SEC team just because of the style they play basketball. And it's really fast paced athleticism, get towards the basket, making three pointers. Like that's what the SEC basketball is about. And so I don't think Alabama will lose. They obviously do have done decent in the tournament over the last few years. They made the Elite Eight last year. I think they made the Final Four the year before. So this team is obviously built for the tournament. I obviously think they could win it or make it to the Final Four. We'll see on that with their offense, but their defense scares me a lot. So I have Alabama beating Hofstra. I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, they could lose, but just because their defense, but I don't see it happening. And I certainly don't see Alabama losing to Tech or Akron. I think they're easily a Sweet 16 lock and will face Michigan in the Sweet 16. That's probably the
Yeah.
freest
Yeah.
lock of the whole tournament is Alabama versus Michigan to the Sweet 16.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. Okay, moving on. Interesting game here. Tennessee, the 6 seed, will take on either the 11 seeded Miami, Ohio Redhawks, or the SMU Mustangs. Now, we talked about this yesterday. I don't think it's going to matter who they play. I think Tennessee's playing well enough right now that they're going to take down either of these teams pretty handily. Um, even if it's Miami, Ohio, I don't care if they have the hype around them. I don't really care. I don't like Miami, Ohio. I think they're overrated. I don't even know if they're going to win tomorrow. So give me Tennessee, no matter who they're playing. I just think that this team is not being talked about enough. And I'm really intrigued to see if they play Virginia. That'll be a really
Yeah.
interesting game.
Yeah. So just to let you guys know, I'm riding or dying with Tennessee in this tournament. I have them winning the region in two of my brackets. I think there's going to be a
Really?
6 seed that wins it. I think this team is built for it. Nobody's talking about them. They're 15 in KenPom. They've obviously beat Alabama. They beat Vanderbilt. They have a lot of good wins. Like this team is legit. They're the best rebounding team in the country behind Florida. So that's what I really love about this team is that no matter who they play, they're getting boards no matter what. And Florida's obviously a 1 seed and they dominate everybody in the paint. So I think that this team's just really well rounded. I'm not gonna lie. And obviously they have Nate Amend and Gillespie. as their guards, and those guys are heck of athletes too. So I think they're kicking the crap out of SMU. SMU has a good defense, but not a good enough offense. And Miami, Ohio has a terrible defense. So Tennessee's a team that is not your normal SEC team. They don't shoot a lot of 3-pointers. They don't rely on the three ball. They rely a lot of their points on the paint. But I really love this Tennessee team. They're going really far in my brackets. I'm hoping they do because, like I said, I have them winning this region in multiple of my brackets, which
Dude, that's crazy. You filled out how many have you filled out? I've only filled out one.
three. I filled out three.
I've only filled out one today, bro. I gotta get locked in.
Yeah, Tennessee. I mean, on paper, they look like they're the most talented team outside of Michigan in this region. It's not even a question.
Yeah.
I feel like we can both agree on that. Now, the Kentucky loss worries me. I'm just going to say that those two Kentucky losses, but they have a free path to the second round, and I think that they'll probably beat Virginia because Virginia never does good come tournament time. It doesn't matter what happens; they always sell in the tournament. So Tennessee's the
Yeah.
most underrated team. I'm calling it. I'm just going to say it how it is.
Okay. 2 games left. This one's interesting. 7-seeded Kentucky takes on 10-seeded Santa Clara. And Santa Clara,
Virginia, do
obviously.
we skip Virginia
Oh yeah,
versus Wright
shoot, we
State?
skipped Virginia. Yep, we skipped them. Virginia versus Wright State. Wright State. I'm picking Virginia. I mean, that's all I need to say. Virginia's gonna win this game. Um, Respect the Wright State for making the tournament, but short lived.
Yeah. Virginia obviously is a team that shoots a lot of 3-pointers and they make a lot of 3-pointers. But they don't have a lot of household names on their roster. So that's that. And Wright State is a team I didn't know existed, kind of like Hofstra. So obviously Virginia proved that they are legit, and I'm already looking forward to Virginia and Tennessee. That's
Yeah,
winner of
I
that
that's gonna
game's
be a great game.
winner of that game's going to the winning the region. Like I'm obviously there's no guarantees, but if I'm a betting man, I'm saying winner of that game wins the region. Just based off of how volatile Iowa State is, and just based off of how Michigan's been playing lately. So Virginia and Tennessee, 2 guaranteed locks, and I'm looking forward to the game on Saturday or Sunday between those two already.
Yeah,
So
man, I agree. Okay, now we get to go Kentucky versus Santa Clara. Kentucky, disappointing ish. Um, Conference tournament, they gave Florida an interesting game. They were down by like 15 most of the game, lost by 7. Santa Clara, on the other hand, lost in the championship to Gonzaga, but they beat St. Mary's in the process. So to me, St. Mary's is a pretty solid team. Santa Clara, good win. But Santa Clara hasn't played in like a week and a half. That's kind of an issue for me. Now I know Kentucky will have played for a week either. So this is a tough pick for me, but I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. I don't trust Kentucky.
you good?